What's up, YouTube? It's me, the Artisan MC, and today I'm going to review for you Foundation Season 2, Episode 9. Um, this is the next to the last episode for this season. Episode 10 will happen this week, and that will finish out Season 2 of the Foundation. And I have to say, this was one of the more action-packed episodes in terms of what was going on in every location that they went to. And understand that we're on three different locations. We're on Terminus, we're on Trantor, we're on Ignis. And between the three of those, the story jumps around between the three of them, letting you know what's happening and how they're all finishing up. Now, with the way this episode ends, it does make me think that something catastrophic has to happen in the last episode of the season finale. Something really catastrophic has to happen because this episode gives you a lot more of story dump, in a sense, and where it throws in a lot more breadcrumbs or croutons. Because they ain't breadcrumbs, they're not leading anywhere. But they throw in more croutons of knowledge from the actual books. More on Foundation and Empire, forward to Foundation, and more stuff regarding Demerzel and where Demerzel comes from, in a sense, and setting up a kind of new lore for why she exists in this place that she is right now. They also give you a time frame on how old Demerzel is at this point. Okay. She is about 5,000 years old at one point, but at this point, she's probably closer to 505. It's pretty damn old. So, this story, or this episode, picks up where the last one left off, where you have Cleon, Brother Dusk, and the attendant Rue in this secret alcove chamber being talked to by a recording from Cleon the First. And Cleon the First is telling them a story. And the story that he is telling them is about the end of the original genetic dynasty, about himself being the last one of that line, naturally born, and how he got his title of empire from his mother. In that, as a child in that palace, he stumbled upon that alcove, the secret alcove. And inside the secret alcove was a being. The being that was inside of that alcove, held prisoner, sliced up into little parts, was Demerzel, the last robot in the galaxy, who was captured by the Emperor before her, before Cleon's mother, and held prisoner there in that room for about, at that point, 18,000 years or so, she said. The story that Demerzel tells Cleon is about other rulers and whatnot that she's known. And what she does is she kind of forms a friendship with Cleon the First as a child. And Cleon the First holds the knowledge that Demerzel is down in this secret room, a secret, because he discovered the room, and according to the story, nobody in 1,000 years had ever been in that room. So it stands to reason that his parents don't even know about it. They don't. Nobody does, except for Cleon. Now, over the years, Cleon regularly, at some points when he was younger, but over his lifespan, comes to see Demerzel quite often. And Demerzel actually forms a really, what Cleon feels is a deep bond with him, because she becomes his only friend. And when his mother dies and he becomes Empire, he comes a lot less, but he does return at different points, all the way up until the point where he reintegrates her, making her able to form her body back together out of the dissected pieces. And then later, freeing her from the prison and equipping her with a chip in her neck, but also proposing marriage to her, making her his concubine, advisor, wife, what have you. He's in love with her after all these years of going and sitting and listening to her stories and whatnot, and proposes the idea of how she can take care of herself, but also how she can take care of the genetic dynasty, which is cloning him, which will be, in effect, his token of love for her. She will be free to move about, free from imprisonment in one sense, but a prisoner to Empire. She will look after the Empire in every successive shadow of Cleon the First to help them rule in how she feels might be best. Now, none of that was actually in the book. It's an interesting story. None of it was actually in the book. And what it shows is a couple of things. One of which is that during the robotic wars, which is from the books, but it's from way later books, right? That Demerzel was part of the robot wars, and Demerzel was a general in those robot wars. And robots lost. And the remaining robots outside of Demerzel were destroyed. Now, this goes into Isaac Asimov's whole robot series, which I haven't read all of that stuff. But the importance of Demerzel in the Foundation novels to understand, and when you finally understand that Demerzel is a robot, and which robot Demerzel is vitally important if you read his Robot Chronicles, or if you've ever seen the movie I Am Robot, something like that. That's Isaac Asimov. That robot is who Demerzel is. That's why it's important that Demerzel was not a female. And there's a line in the show that says, "Oh, Demerzel, it's a female's name because that is the body I have now." Demerzel's not a female name. It's not even really a name. It's more like a sound. Because Demerzel is that original robot who became self-aware in a sense. It has been long-lived. Long-lived. One of the reasons you know it was long-lived because Demerzel remembers where humanity came from, which is Earth, and names it as such because he remembers it. Now, that is a significant reveal for the character of Demerzel, or in the books, Cheddar Hummon, who you find out is Demerzel. The reveal that Demerzel is a robot, and the reveal of which robot Demerzel is and how long he's been around. It's like, dude, the motherfucker remembers Earth? None of these people in the Foundation story actually know anything about Earth. It's a myth. It's something that they don't even understand. And thousands of years in the future, they don't even believe it even existed. It takes people from the Foundation to go back and even look for Earth. That's part of the fun of the Foundation story. And that's just within the Foundation stories itself. Don't even get into all the Robot Chronicle stuff where this character of Demerzel comes out of. This is why you can't just surreptitiously go in and start gender swapping shit from established, well-written franchises because you fuck up everything else that's going on because you don't know it. You don't know the material, which means if you don't know the material, you shouldn't be doing it like Amazon doing Lord of the Rings. So, be that as it may, this is my angst on why I do not like. While I don't have a problem with the actress, she seems to be decent. I don't like that they gender swapped Demerzel. That was too important to just, oh, we're just gender swapping. No. No. While Cleon the 16th is hearing the story with Rue from Cleon the First, he finds out all this information about Demerzel, why Demerzel exists, where she came from, how old she is, all the rest of that. But what Cleon the 16th doesn't understand, while he's mad at this hologram of Cleon the First, saying you did nothing, we're a sham, this is just her thing, we could tell everybody. His dumbass has actually walked into Demerzel's one's prison and is trapped there by Cleon the First AI. He traps him in there. So, those people possibly could die. Could possibly die because something happens later on in the episode that gives the indication that, well, maybe they won't. Maybe they won't, but they'll have to be dealt with. They really will have to be dealt with. Now, on Ignis, where Gal and Salvor are, Gal is going through this whole process with being mind swapped with Tellum. And you see their bodies coming into some kind of alignment through this process. And you have Salvor sneaking in with her little harmonic or sonic resonance little disc, and she disrupts the ceremony, grabs Gal, and they escape, heading back to the beggar. Now, what you end up having is a fight between two of the sighted versus Gal and Salvor. All right. Now, one of the sighted, the brother, the one who can actually take the form of people that he sees in your mind, is against Salvor. And they have this little tussle for a while out in the woods, in the rain, in the mud, and everything else. And the whole time he's doing it, he keeps turning into Salvor's boyfriend. In the middle of the fight, keeps doing it, which is messing her head up because she hesitates when she wants to shoot. She hesitates when she wants to punch or do something else. It was okay. That shit just went on too long. It was too long of a boring fight. I mean, it really was. It's too long of a boring fight. He should have whooped her ass a long time ago. Because they sit there fighting over a gun the whole time, a rifle the whole time, when he could have just grabbed her and broke her damn neck. But thank the rain, thank the mud for making her slippery in a Woman King kind of way. Be that as it may, he loses. Now, on board the beggar, Gal is assaulted by Tellum, and Gal now has the prime radiant that Salvor gave her, completely put together. Why she didn't immediately take it and disassemble it again, I don't fucking know. But maybe they were just, too stressed, not thinking about it at the time. Be that as it may, Gal and Tellum get into a fight, and they start going through each other's minds, trying to trick each other out or cause each other pain or whatnot. So basically, it's like a telepath battle, right? Outside of the physical stuff that's happening. At one point, Tellum going in and using the image of Gal's father to fuck with her. And at a different moment, Gal making Tellum face the mule, which I think was a mistake. I think was a mistake. I'm still of the mind, my theory a bit, is that the mule ends up being Tellum. I'm still of the mind that that's what it is. That the mule doesn't just come out of nowhere. The mule may be Tellum, since they've already introduced its ability for her to swap bodies every once in a while. She could technically be the mule. Because what does a mule do? Carries things, doesn't it? Pack mule. What else would you pack if you're a telepath? Abilities, memories. Who has more right now than Tellum? Since she's been able to jump bodies and gain abilities every time she does. Why would the mule be so fixated on Gal? In the second foundation. And I'm just saying in the context of this TV show story. In the book, the mule thought he was a one-off, which kind of fueled his obsession with finding these motherfuckers. But Tellum gets freaked out when she has to face the mule, and it gives Gal an opening to start fighting with her. Now, while Tellum is able to subdue Gal a little bit, the recently finished fight between Salvor and the other sided gives them the advantage, the tactical advantage, two people against one that, the Ahsoka show seems to throw out. Well, in this show, they actually use it. Gal and Salvor do try to double team Tellum. Tellum gets the better of them a little bit, but they're able to gain the upper hand. Now, be that as it may, you flip over to Terminus. And Terminus has an enclosure around it by Empire. And General Bel Rios aboard the Destiny has his two prisoners of Huber Mallow and Brother Constance on the ship and wanting to know why they are there, what is going on in the situation, and what's going to happen. And he gets a call that Empire is now aboard the Destiny. And what you have is a scene where Bel Rios meets with Demerzel and Brother Day. To find out that Brother Day is going to go down to the planet. It's not going to fire. It's not going to start a war. He's going to go down to the planet and talk terms with the Foundation. He does this against Demerzel's urging, against Demerzel's counsel, against Bel Rios's counsel. He goes down to the surface. And what you end up having is some good scenes with Lee Pace just being this version of Cleon. That this version of Cleon really does have his balls on his shoulders right now. That he is really trying to make an effort to show that he is unafraid of these damn people. And that he is going to send a message to them one way or the other. Now, once on Terminus, he meets with Brother Constance's father, the leader of the Foundation at this point in time, and goes into the Church of Selden, which is discovered to be a type of armory where they make tools and stuff. Personal auras, machines that can convert lead into gold, all this stuff that they go out and trade with and give away to other planets. How they have made their reputation and their alliances with the other planets around them in that system. Now, Empire doesn't like this. Brother Day is kind of pissed off about this, right? And after forcing Paulie to give his, sales pitch that he does to all the planets, Brother Day promptly removes Paulie from the scene and kills the rest of the clerics in there and stabs Brother Constance's father, because what is mentioned in this scene, which is interesting, which is something that they haven't mentioned really much at all in the Foundation, but is central to the Foundation, is the Encyclopedia Galactica. Now, from the books, from the novels, the reason why the encyclopedias, as they were called, were sent to Terminus was to create the Encyclopedia Galactica. That it was supposed to hold all the knowledge in the case that Empire fell, and that it was given to them as a punishment for Selden, but also as a tool for the Empire. And every chapter head does have an entry from the Encyclopedia Galactica that is always being updated. Now, the part that messed up in the show is that while they're in this church, all these weapons in there, Brother Day does ask to see a copy of the encyclopedia. He wants to see it. The Empire was paying for it. Where is it? And Brother Constance's father, whose name I'm forgetting right now, tells him there isn't one. Now, that's a problem, because the encyclopedists that came to Terminus were working on an encyclopedia. It does exist. It doesn't exist in the show, but it does exist. That's what they were doing there the whole time, because it was part of them who were encyclopedists, and part of them were doing this other stuff with the Foundation. You had to actually produce a book. You had to. That's why they were all academics. So it was nice that they mentioned the encyclopedia, which is why they were there anyway. It wasn't cool that there isn't one for them to look at. All this technology around, prime radiance and everything else, nobody could fabricate an actual encyclopedia. Now, after Brother Day orders the execution of some of these people in this church, he's leaving and going to a ship and wants to, raise the planet from orbit as punishment for them. And he sees the vault. Puts two and two together with Polly's, the cleric's charm, and he decides to go towards the vault. Now, once at the vault, while he is unafraid of possible defenses around the vault that Polly warns him about, he takes off his personal auras and armor and walks towards the vault, eventually being met by AI Selden, who turns up and invites him and Demerzel inside the vault. Now, all of this is also not in book. This is all show stuff. All show stuff. None of this happened in the book. But it is interesting in a sense because it gives you another scene with the Empire and Selden talking. Now, in the book series, there was a time that Selden was on Trantor and he did work for the Emperor. There was a time. And in some ways, he did it to help the Foundation and the encyclopedias, to help those resources. In another way, it was to be closer to Demerzel, because Demerzel was secretly helping him. Now, if you read the first book in the Foundation, you'll find out that Demerzel is kind of a cold person, but Demerzel brought Selden in. That they had a connection, a relationship, not in a romantic sense, but a relationship in a sense. And this is long before you found out anything about Demerzel being a robot. Demerzel is a shadowy figure that people are afraid of. But he does have a relationship with Harry Selden. Now, once inside the vault, So a little interesting thing that happens is that AI Selden is talking to Brother Day and Demerzel, but he's really directing all his questions towards Demerzel. AI Selden knows Demerzel is a robot. He knows. He doesn't say it, but he knows. And there's subtle things that he says in his language about programming and what do you think and all this stuff, which is actually, he's not really even talking to Brother Day, because psychohistory does not rely on the actions of the individual. It relies on the actions of a group, a mass of people. And so the questions that AI Selden is directing, he's more directing to Demerzel, another individual in this room that thinks computationally of the greater good and not just the individual ego at that point in time. I thought it was an interesting thing because basically AI Selden is trying to get Demerzel to do the rest of the math and understand that Brother Day ain't up to snuff. Empire will fall. And destroying Terminus wouldn't be a good idea. Wouldn't be. And in doing this, AI Selden offers the prime radiant to Brother Day and Demerzel, and offers to teach it how to read the prime radiant to Demerzel. None of this shit ever happened in the book. None of it. What you had in the book was Demerzel trying to make sure Harry finished his computations, made that prime radiant, and had a working model of psychohistory. That is why Demerzel worked with Harry for so long, protected him and everything else, to get him to make psychohistory a reality, because it was useful for his purposes. This show, no, Harry wants to teach it to Demerzel. Why? Because Demerzel will be there longer, and they can have another female as the focal point of this whole thing. In the novels, Demerzel leaves after a point. I believe it's even after the first, second book. Demerzel leaves and is gone for the rest of the series until close to the end. You never see Demerzel again. You don't know where the hell he's gone. He's just gone. No, we can't. So, in this story of trying to put this kind of responsibility on Demerzel is only to keep that character around longer, to make her, to borrow a phrase from another series, doing this kind of revisionist history. And this is revisionist psychohistory, to make Demerzel the fulcrum of this whole thing, after the Cleons have passed away. No, I don't like that. I like my Demerzel coming and going. Plain and simple. I don't like it hanging around forever, because it takes the control of the story of the Foundation and humanity out of humanity's hands and puts it into the hands of an artificial intelligence. Hello, Skynet. Now, once this conversation between AI Selden, Demerzel, and Brother Day has concluded, Brother Day leaves with the Prime Radiant and Demerzel is still pondering what they were just talking about. They take a shuttle, they leave Polly on the planet, and return back to the Destiny. Once on the Destiny, eventual fighting has broke out between Empire's fleet and the Foundation fleet on the Invictus. And something really interesting happens here, because they do have a good space battle dogfight scene. But it points out something stupid about the foundation. Now, ship designs are cool in this. I make no bones about special effects and ship designs in the foundation. It is top notch. It is really interesting, right? I like the way the ships are designed in the Empire. I like the way the whisper ships of the Foundation are designed, except for one thing that was revealed in this dogfight scene. We know that the ships can operate with a small crew, can perform hyperspace jumps really close and quiet. That's what they're called, whisper ships. And it has its own like organic AI inside of it. The dumbest part about this is that organic AI brain is in the back of the ship, the tail end of the ship where everybody can shoot it. Like, what fucking sense does that make? Why would you put it in the back? So anytime you're running from somebody, they can always shoot you? That is so stupid. And I'm sitting here thinking of the gravimetric ships from the Foundation novel, which is what they were, that moved off of using gravity. The control center was in the middle of the ship, if I remember correctly. Why would you put it in the back? That's the most vulnerable spot. That is so fucking stupid. So when I'm watching this show, it's like, what? And they're getting blown out of the goddamn sky. It's like, y'all didn't learn shit. Y'all got tech, but just tech for toys and shit, which is not how it worked in the novels. In the novels, Foundation was kind of formidable. They were. They had advanced technology because they were a group of people who understood technology and could create it. Why the Empire was failing is that the Empire was losing people who knew how to create and repair any of this stuff. That's why the Empire was falling apart. It didn't have the required skill sets to do any of this shit. So they start falling behind. But the Foundation started leaping ahead because they had the academic minds to push science forward and keep developing science. Empire didn't. That's why it was decaying. Things were breaking down. They couldn't fix it. Couldn't really build another one. Didn't have people that knew how to build it. It was more of a testament to how things work now in 2023, when it was written, I think, back in the 40s, than you would want to shake a stick at. Now, during this fight, Belrios's husband, Gale, is out in his fighter squadron. He's able to score a hit on the Invictus and kind of cripple the ship. And while Brother Day is back on board the Destiny, he orders General Belrios to fire concussive grenades at the Invictus and bring it down on the Foundation at Terminus. Now, during the dogfight, once Belrios's husband, Gale, actually does score the hit that cripples the Invictus, his ship is hit, and he ends up crashing on Terminus. Now, he's alive, but he crashed on Terminus. And once Brother Day gives the order to bring the Invictus down on Terminus, on the Foundation, Belrios finds out that his husband is on the surface of the planet and is hit with this moral quandary of following this genocidal ass order and losing the love that he has, or rallying against it and plunging the whole galaxy into some turmoil because once again he defied Empire and caused more people to suffer. Now, it is a beautiful scene, regardless of the fact that you're thinking about his two dudes crying over each other. It's not unbeknownst to me to understand what love is. And in some ways, love is blind. Love is love. Caring about somebody very deeply is caring about somebody very deeply. If you've ever felt that, you understand that shit. Regardless of who the other person has chosen to fall in love with, it is what the hell it is. To me, it was a good scene. Corny in some ways, but it was a good scene. The actor playing Bel Rios, he's given a lot of emotion. He's showing the inner conflict in him on carrying out this damn order that he doesn't want to. Regardless of that, his husband tells him to carry out the order. And they get to admit that they love each other, which is hard for most folks to fucking do outside of having sex. And begrudgingly, Bel Rios confirms the order, shoots the Invictus, and it crashes in the Terminus. And when it crashes in the Terminus, this is not just like some gentle into the good night kind of thing. This thing goes down flaming, crashing on the foundation, the encyclopedias, everything. And its hyperspace folding engine explodes and creates a humongous fucking crater in that planet, splitting it into about 4 pieces. Severe. And those people at the foundation are dead and gone. Dead and motherfucking gone. And the technology that they were developing. Now, the next episode will show if the vault was destroyed as well. That's what the next episode will show. Now, in the novels, that never happened. Foundation got through its second crisis and carried on. And Terminus, the original Encyclopedia's colony, just continued to grow. It populated that whole planet over the years. Because one of the things the Foundation does is every book jumps ahead so many years. Maybe 20, maybe 50, maybe 100. Just to show you the progress, because it gave you a timeline in the first book of when Empire was going to fall. And so everything that the Foundation does is to shorten that span that the galaxy is in darkness because Empire has fallen. So they're always giving you that countdown to know when this is happening. This kind of destruction of the Foundation, that will throw a monkey wrench into anybody's calculations of the prime rating, because that didn't happen. So seeing what it is now is interesting, because I think in a way this is how they get a Harry Seldon or AI Seldon back onto Trantor, because Brother Day has the prime radiant. And we already know from the last episode that the prime radiant operates in like quantum flux. It's 2 items in 2 separate places. We know Gail Dornick has one, and it's linked to the one that Brother Day has at the same time. So where they go from here, I do not know, because they jumped all over in terms of books and whatnot in this episode. But that ending with him crashing that ship into the planet and just fracturing the planet is like, bruh, that's a bit much. That is a bit much. Now, one of the things I'm disappointed about is the Foundation didn't put up more of a fight. They couldn't really do much against the Empire, which I thought was kind of bullshit. It was lopsided. It was a losing fight. So I didn't like that. Otherwise, the info dumps that were in the show were interesting. They were, if you've read the books. If you didn't read the books, this is a lot of information coming at you just to try to make sense of this world. And it's happening kind of late, because they could have explained that a couple episodes ago. We're spending all this time on the Fox Foundation. could have threw some of that information in sooner. But you get to episode 9, and the last episode is 10, and now you want to throw all that shit in there? That means you're wasting time. Really means you're wasting time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this. I will look forward to seeing the finale of this, to see where they leave it off. Maybe they leave it off in a way that leads into breadcrumbs for the mule, since they dropped breadcrumbs for that this season. I expect that they will get picked up for a third season, since they got picked up for a second one. And at least on the Apple charts, this thing is hitting number 1 every time an episode comes out. It ranks number 1. So people are watching it. I just don't know any of them. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys for showing up to watch this. Like, share, subscribe, click the bell on the icon so you get alerted whenever I go live. And I have an artisanmc, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.